Hello everyone. In this video, you will learn about the set operators, and after completing this video, you will be able to describe the set operators. You will be able to use a set operator to combine multiple queries into a single query. You will be able to control the order of rows returned. So in this video, you will learn how to write queries using the set operators. So what are set operators? The set operators combine the results of two or more component queries into one result. So queries containing set operators are called compound queries. We have various operators like union, union all, intersect, and the minus operator. In case of union operator, it is going to return rows from both queries after eliminating the duplications. In case of the union all operator, rows from both the queries, including all duplications, would be displayed. Whereas in case of intersect operator, rows that are common to both the queries would be returned. Whereas with the minus operator, rows in the first query that are not present in the second query would be returned. So all these set operators here have equal precedence. So if a SQL statement contains multiple set operators, the Oracle server evaluates them from left to right if no parentheses explicitly specify some another order. You should use parentheses to specify the order of evaluation explicitly in queries that use the intersect operator with the other set operators. Now, coming to the set operator rules. The expressions in the select list of queries must match in number and the data type. When you use the union, union all, intersect, and minus operators, ensure that the select lists have the same number and data type of columns. The data type sometimes may not be exactly the same. In such cases, the column in the second query must be in the same data type group as the corresponding column in the first query. You can use the set operators in subqueries. You could use parentheses to specify the order of evaluation in queries that use the intersect operator with the other set operators. According to SQL standards, the intersect operator has the greater precedence than the other set operators. And the order by clause will appear only at the very end of the statement. Now coming to the Oracle server and the set operators, the select lists of a compound query must match the corresponding expressions in number and data type. If component queries select character data, the data type of the return values is determined on the basis of these. If both queries select values of char data type of equal length, the returned values have the character data type of that length. If the queries select values of char with different lengths, the return value is varchar2 with the length of the larger char value. If either of both the queries select values of varchar2 data type, then the return values have the varchar2 data types. If the compound or the component queries select numeric data, the data type of the return values is determined by numeric precedence. If all queries select values of the number type, then the return values will have the number data type. And if the query is using set operators, then the Oracle server does not perform implicit conversion across data type groups. Therefore, if the corresponding expressions of the component queries resolve to both character data type and numeric data, the Oracle server will return an error. Now let's discuss about each of these operators in detail. So let's start with the union operator. The union operator returns all rows that are selected by either query. Use the union operator to return all rows from multiple tables and eliminate any duplicate rows. Now here few things that you have to keep in your mind are the number of columns being selected must be the same. The data types of the columns being selected must be in the same data type group. The names of the columns need not be identical. The union operator overall operates all of the columns that are being selected. The null values are not ignored during the duplicate checking, and by default, the output is sorted in ascending order of the columns of the select clause. Now, let's see an example based on the union operator. Here, the union operator eliminates any duplicate records. So if the record that occur in both the employees and the retired employees, if in both these tables, if the records are identical, then in that case, in the output, in the result set, the records are displayed only once. So this is how the union operator works. Now coming to the union all operator, here you will use the union all operator to return all rows from multiple queries. The guidelines for using the union all operator would remain same as we discussed just now for the union operator, and here only the exception is that the duplicate rows are not eliminated and the output is not sorted by default in case of the union all operator. So let's see an example based on the union all operator. So here, as you can see in the result set, the 35 rows are being selected. So the union all operator does not eliminate the duplicate rows. So the combination of two tables, employees and the retired employees, totals to 35 rows. And the union all operator here is not eliminating any of the duplicate rows, and the union returns all the distinct rows selected by either query. So the union all returns all rows selected by either query, including all the duplicates. Okay, so here if the same query you run with the union operator, then in that case the number of rows may vary because the union operator is going to eliminate all the duplicate rows. Coming to the next operator, that is the intersect operator. Here the operator is used to return all rows that are common to multiple queries. So here the guidelines would be for using the intersect operator, the number of columns and the data types of the columns being selected by the select statements in the queries must be identical in all select statements used in the query. The names of the columns, however, need not be identical. Reversing the order of the intersected tables will not change the result, and the intersect operator does not ignore the null values. So let's see an example based on the intersect operator. Here in this example, the query returns only those records that have same values in the selected columns in both tables. So here this is the record which is common to both the tables, employees and the retired employees. Moving on to the next operator, that is the minus operator. We use the minus operator to return all the distinct rows that is being selected by the first query but not present in the second query result set. Okay, so here basically this is the first select statement minus the second select statement. Again here the number of columns must be same and the data type of the columns being selected by the select statements in the queries must belong to the same data type group in all the select statements used in the query. The names of the columns again here need not be identical. If we come to the example, then here you can see that the manager ID and job IDs in the retired employees table are subtracted from those in the employees table. Now here you can see the result set that is being displayed, which displays the employees remaining after the subtraction. And they are represented by the rows that exist in the employees table but do not exist in the retired employees table. So these are the records of the employees who work in the sales department and are being managed by the managers who have not managed any of the retired employees. So this is what is the significance of using the minus operator. Now, coming to matching select statements in Oracle. Now, since the expressions in the select list of the query must match in number, you can use the dummy columns and the data type conversion functions to comply with this rule. So here you can see to match the column list explicitly, you can insert null columns at the missing positions so as to match the count and the data type of the selected columns in each select statement. Now here, if we take this example, in this example, the name, that is warehouse location, is given as the dummy column heading, and the toChar function is used in the first query to match the varchar2, the data type of the state province column that is retrieved by the second query. Similarly, the toChar function in the second query is used to match the varchar2 data type of the department name column that is retrieved by the first query. So this is how we match the select statements in Oracle. Let's see one example based on this. So here we are using the same tables, the employees and the retired employees. Now these tables have several columns in common: the employee ID, the job ID and the department ID. Okay. However, what if you want a query to display the first name, the job ID and the hire date using the union operator, knowing that the hire date exists only in the employees table, not in the retired employees table. So here, if we go by this query, this example, here this matches the first name and the job ID columns in the employees table and the retired employees table. So both the tables, the first name, the job ID, which are same. Now here, null is added to the retired employees table, and here the select statement is going to match the higher data column in the employees select statement. So in the result, each row in the output that corresponds to a record from the retired employees table contains a null in the hire date column. Okay, so this is how we match the select statement in Oracle. Now coming to the next topic, that is using the order by clause. So here you can use the order by clause only once in a compound query. You can place the order by clause at the end of the query, and the order by clause accepts the column name as well as the alias, and by default the output is sorted in the ascending order, that too in the first column of the first select query. So the order by clause actually does not recognize the column names of the second select query. Just to avoid confusion over the column names, it is a common practice to order by column positions. Now let's see example based on this. Here in this example, the output is sorted in the ascending order of job ID. So the order ID does not recognize the column names of the second select query. So to avoid confusion over the column names, it is a common practice to order by on the basis of the column position. And here if you omit order by, then in that case by default the output will be sorted in the ascending order of the employee ID. You cannot use the columns from the second query to sort the output. Okay. Now we had learned how to use the operators. We have also discussed the use of order by clause, which has to be used at the end of the statement. We also had seen how to match the select statement when using the set operator. Okay, so that's all about the set operators, and next we'll move on to the DML statements in the next coming video. Thank you.